Hey students, I'm going to be showing you a couple things that we're going to be using in class for some of your in-class assignments and activities. So we're going to jump over to Premiere. So the thing that I'm going to be showing you how to do today is something that we're going to be doing in starting to mess with audio. So I'm going to grab a clip, go back to our skate videos. I'm just going to grab a random one and pop it in here. And we're going to change sequence settings. And we're going to zoom in. Okay, so I've got my video clip here. It's not a super long clip, but we're just using this to demonstrate the thing we're going to mess with sound and doing a little bit of relabeling by changing the colors of our video clips here. So before I do that, I'm going to drag some audio in here. And with your audio activity that you're going to be doing with whoops, I might have shown you some answers to some stuff. We'll do crisscross here. So for one of your assignments, and I might actually do it for you, we'll see. That would be kind of funny. But I was trying to drag in a video. It's not showing up as a video, so we're just going to ignore that. And I might actually save you a step in your activity. But you'll notice that I've got my kind of purple video clip, I've got my green audio clip. So let's say I'm trying to put these two together. So I'm just gonna scooch this along so you can kind of see. So this would mean that whatever audio is under our video clip and appears on A1 and V1, that is going to show up. If we, for example, had a video clip up here and one up here, and we had two audio clips, that is actually going to play at the same time. So with video, we can only see one thing at a time. With our audio, we can actually see, or we can hear, pardon, two things at the same time. So unlike video where whichever clip is on top is the one that shows, with audio, whatever is layered here is going to play at the same time. So let's say this was a voiceover narration. We'll go ahead and label this. We'll do this Rose. If this was our voiceover narration and this was our song, these would both play at the same time. The other thing I want to have you do here and to explain is how I relabeled these things. So in one of your activities, you're going to have to put some clips underneath each other and relabel them in terms of color so that you know what goes with what. To do that, all you're going to do is select your pieces. You're going to right click and you're just going to go to label. So this bar should pop up. If it's not appearing on my screen, I apologize. But nested in the middle of the screen in that selection, you should see label. And if you hover over it, you should see a whole bunch of color options. So when you're doing this activity, doesn't matter which color, but my main thing is I just want you to change them to one color so I know that this is one version. So if I go ahead and trim off these last parts of these audio, let's say I want to make a duplicate of this because it's going to be part of your activity. Bam. And let's say I want this one to be rose, so that'll be like a red color. So now I've got a teal version with the video and one song, rose version with video and a different song. The second step I want to show you is after you do some relabeling to keep some things linked. So you'll notice that with these videos, because they do not have audio, it's just its own file, so it's just kind of floating around. But let's say I do a bunch of editing, I make some tweaks, add some sound effects underneath my video, and everything is lined up perfectly, and I start moving stuff around. Uh-oh, well now everything's out of order, and I'm forgetting where I put things in their place. I don't want that to happen. So what you can do, and what I would recommend doing, is one, if you want something to stay in place, over here is your lock icon. So just like in Photoshop or Illustrator, when you can lock a layer, you can do the same thing in Premiere. The next thing I would like you to do is once you're done editing and you've added the sound effect or the music below and you want those two things to stick together, there's two options. The first is going to be if that new audio underneath that clip you want to be associated with that. So I'm going to say, like, let's say these two. So I have these two selected. I have a video clip and an audio clip. I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to link. So what link does is now it treats these as two connected pieces. It is my understanding that you can't, I'm going to check before I eat my words. So you can also unlink. So I'm going to try and see if I can do this for all of them. I think you can. So if I do link, now these should all be moving together. I wouldn't recommend that method of linking a whole bunch of clips if you have a bunch of different like video files and stuff like that are all kind of stacked in different audio that is being put underneath it, because it's going to get really messy. I recommend this if you're just trying to do one, just like one clip to one audio file. The other option is you can also do a group. So again, if let's say I have, a whole big chain of edits here, and I'll make a duplicate here of this one, and I'm going to recolor it because that's part of our assignment. Again, right click, label, we'll do mango. So now I've got my 3 clips. Let's say I want this to be a whole big group that moves together when I move it. I can select all of it, and I can either do Control G, which now if I click, you'll see that it highlights all of them, or, and let's do Control Shift G to undo, there we go. Or I can again right click and go to group. So now these are all going to move together when I edit them. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Now they're going to move all together as I edit them. So that is the little tidbit for today for the labeling. Now when it comes to audio mixing, so I'm actually going to grab a file from online, so give me a second. I'm going to leave this part in just because I'm going to kind of explain. So just like with our assembly, when we are adding audio and stuff to our video, it is really helpful to change our Premiere layout to be more conducive for that part of the editing process. So if I'm in Premiere and I go to Window, Workspaces, where you can see their assembly, right underneath that is going to be audio. So if I click on that, there's going to be a different bar that's going to pop up on the side, and that's going to be really helpful for what we're about to do next. So I downloaded our audio file, so I'm going to go in here and drag it into Premiere. It's showing up in my timeline below. You can see the waveforms and stuff, so that's what we call all of this. And what I'm going to do is click on this, and you're going to see now some options open up on this side. We're not going to get super in the weeds on this stuff that's going on here because it's going to be like, oh my gosh, there's a lot. The main thing that we're doing that this is going to be super helpful for is this is going to do a lot of the cleanup and mixing for our audio files without having to get super in depth when it comes to compressors, levelers, and other more like technical audio settings and stuff like that. So literally all we're going to do, I have my audio file here. I can click it. I'm going to hit enhance, and you're going to see it's going to start loading. It's going to do some stuff. And ideally, when it's done loading and going through, it is going to sound a lot better than it did before. If you make any edits to it, as in like trimming parts out, or if I like cut this section out in a second once it's done loading, that is going to just like keep reloading. So don't freak out if it starts doing that. It's just adjusting to all the tweaks to your audio file. It's not necessarily going to all of a sudden change it so that it sounds different. It's just keeping up with your cuts that you are doing to your audio piece. So just like a video file with an audio file, I can take my razor tool, I can cut a piece at the bottom, and I can delete it off. So you can see that it's kind of got its own little speech bar there. My recommendation is to put your whole big audio file in first before you start doing a bunch of little cuts, so it doesn't treat them all as different separate entities. But that's going to load, and in a second here it might show a little bit different in the waveforms, so that's going to cue to us that it did its job and mix the audio. There you go. So you see it kind of shifted a little bit, so if we were to play it back, there might be some things that are taken out, there might be some noises or things that are dampened. So we're not going to mess around, like I said, in depth with this. If you want to after class or later into this activity and to see like what some of these things do, so like going to presets, you can see there's like sound effects. You can make it sound like a telephone, like from TV. You can make it sound like a radio, so it'll make it sound a little more tinny. There's like podcast voice, make it distant. So there's all sorts of stuff that you can do that if you wanted to add a little bit of creative flair to some videos that you're editing, this can be a part of that process. But the main thing I want you to do is just whatever this button is right here with enhanced speech, just do that, and that'll be for that activity. I think that is everything for today for week 3. Obviously, you'll have this as part of class because you should be watching it as part of your assignment. And so if you have any questions in the midst of this activity messing with this, just let me know.